Hi YouTube, I'm doing another video about autism today. This is to parents and carers. Some of the tips I've picked up when trying to get autistics to use their imagination. We tend to have very bad imaginations, which are compensated by very good memories. Just to be clear, a memory is thinking about something that has happened in the past, and imagination is thinking about something that hasn't happened in the past. Okay? Without imagination, no matter how physically able you are mentally crippled, because you can't think of more than one way to do something, you can't think of a new thing to do, you're dependable upon other people to prompt you, to remind you of things. So even if you have an encyclopedia memory, with no imagination, there's not much you can do for yourself. But there's ways to build on imagination. First thing, if you're taking an autistic down a familiar route, don't lead the way for them. They go in front. See if they know the way. If they've learnt the way, then at least you know they are learning something, and they're forced to use their imagination and memory, which they aren't doing if they're standing behind you, just following in your footsteps. Number 2, never give them a choice between an unfamiliar option and a familiar option. They'll always go with the familiar one. Even if they like the unfamiliar one better, they'll be safe and go with the familiar one. So either 2 familiar choices or 2 unfamiliar ones. That should help them. Maybe. Number 3. A lot of autistics ask the same question over and over and over again. Sometimes because they like to hear your repeated answer. Don't indulge them. It's okay to answer a question once, but if you've already answered it, ask them back. What did I say? You tell me. Use your brain. Don't just copy what other people say. They also sometimes do that because they genuinely don't have much of a memory, but at least if you ask them back, at least you'll find out which it is. Most of the time, they know already. And number 4, stand well away from them when they're preparing something. If they're trying to do something independently, don't stand near them, because they'll often just think you're there to help them. So if they see you standing right next to them when they're washing up, or when they're tidying, or when they're doing their laces, they'll stop what they're doing and wait for you to do it, which is the worst thing. You're not doing them any favours doing things for them. They need to be independent from as young an age as possible. You can't just tell them, well, you were a child, but now you're an adult, so I'm not your servant anymore. They won't get that. I don't get that. I never wanted people to be my servants. Certainly not. Okay? I think those are pretty simple tips, and yet I've seen people spoon-feeding the mentally disabled all the time. It's got to stop. It really has got to stop. They're not made of sugar paper. They are capable of learning things. It takes them longer, but they can learn things. But they won't learn if people act like servants all the time. Sorry to be so nagging, but this sort of thing, I see it all the time. And I've been chatting with a YouTuber who's had exactly the same experience as me. Whew, that's the rant over. See you later, YouTube. Bye-bye.